Joining us now on This Is the Day is Frank Clay, who is the curator here at the U.S.S Missouri. And thank you so much, Frank, for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
But we unfortunately don't have as much time, but I wondered if you could just talk a little bit about the history of the U.S.S Missouri for people who might not know the history.
Sure, absolutely. So the U.S.S Missouri was the last battleship ever completed by the U.S. Navy. Construction started in January of 1941 in the Brooklyn Naval Yards in New York, and she was launched on January 29, 1944. She then served in World War II in the Pacific Theater, battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. And then most importantly, she served as a surrender site, September 2nd, 1945, where World War II came to an end when Japan surrendered to the Allied forces. She was kept in service. She served in the Korean War between 1950 and 1953. She was then decommissioned in 1955, and then was recommissioned in 1986 to serve in the Persian Gulf War in 1991, before being decommissioned again in 1992.
Yeah. And maybe if you could talk about how she ended up here in overlooking the Arizona Memorial.
Yeah, so the Missouri forms bookends of World War II for the United States here in Pearl Harbor. December 7, 1941, and the wreck of the Arizona representing our entrance into the war. And then the U.S.S Missouri, September 2nd, 1945, representing the end of the war. So we got the beginning and the end embodied in two separate warships in the same harbor.
And talk about when the Memorial Association, maybe if you could just maybe talk about that a little bit and how it took this over and what it's doing now to help preserve the U.S.S Missouri.
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit organization. U.S.S Missouri Memorial Association was founded to basically preserve and present the ship as a fitting memorial. So when the Missouri was towed and arrived here in June of 1998, we took over custody and stewardship of this ship. So we're making sure that she's well maintained. We spend millions of dollars each year to make sure she's preserved for future generations, but also to present her as a fitting memorial. So we have tours, guided tours and self-guided tours on board the ship where guests can come and experience the history of the ship.
And I know you have programs too. People can stay on the boat as well. Maybe you could talk about some of those.
Yeah, so our education department does have an encampment program. School groups, Boy Scout, Girl Scout troops do stay on board the ship so they can have an overnight experience sleeping aboard the Mighty Mo. So it's really neat and very great from an educational standpoint.
And you have a couple of significant events too during the course of the year that are held on Mighty Mo.
Yeah, so we obviously September 2nd is our big ceremony. We also celebrate Veterans Day. We have a Veterans Day ceremony coming up on November 11th this year. This year we are honoring Senator Daniel K. Inouye as part of that ceremony. So yeah, and of course we also, every day is a day for us. We have military ceremonies almost every day on the ship that we provide free of charge to all branches here at active duty.
And talk about, I was talking to you before we started interviewing, and you have the unique experience of going through. You've been here for like 10 or 11 years, you were saying too. Yeah. Maybe talk about the visitors that you've seen over the years, maybe some of the more typical questions that you get asked.
Yeah, so yeah, we have a really great variety of guests from all around the world who come to visit. And they're here to learn and experience the ship and what it means to them. Everyone has a stake in what this ship means to them and how its history impacted their own personal histories. I think for us, the most rewarding visits are from former crew members. The men who served on board the ship in all of our eras of service who get to come back with their families and show them what Daddy did, what Grandpa did, and sometimes even go to the exact rack that they slept on and the space that they worked in. So that is for us is a very rewarding part of preserving this ship for future generations, is when that family now has that personal connection related to their father or grandfather's or uncle's service.
Yeah. Any typical questions that you usually get or for the tour people that they usually get for people visiting?
The big guns are normally our most prominent feature. That's what kind of sets battleships apart. You know, how big are the guns? They're 16 inches in diameter, the projectiles. And then they have a maximum accurate range of 23 miles.
Wow.
So that's a pretty far range for guns these big. And the Missouri's guns were the biggest in World War II for the U.S. Navy.
Wow. How about for you personally, being part of the U.S.S Missouri for so long? What's it mean to you to be able to help promote the history here and to keep that alive?
Oh, it's very important for me. I've been here for more than 10 years, and it's very rewarding for me to work here. The people I work with are great, and the mission we have is such a great mission to support our service members. I love history, so basically I'm a kid in a candy store, and I really can't complain. My office is a battleship, so this is a really unique place to work. really great place to work, and we provide a great service.
Well, we're just out of time, but maybe you could talk about some of this, just so to give people an idea of the scope that it takes to maintain a battleship and what goes into that.
Yeah, so as a nonprofit, we do not receive state or federal funding on a day-to-day basis. So we really rely on our visitors and the tickets revenue to help us maintain the ship. Our nonprofit is just over 100 paid employees, and we do rely on volunteers to come and help us as well. And through our revenue, we generate almost the majority of it goes into preserving the ship and keeping her, painted and in good condition, basically. So that's our main mission. And again, it's a tough mission, but it's a worthwhile mission for us.
And if people want to find out more or watching on the mainland, how would they go about doing that?
You can visit our website, www.ussmissouri.org. And you can also follow us on social media as well. We have Facebook and Instagram accounts as well.
Thanks so much, Frank. It's great talking to you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir.